Today, we have the dynamic diva and soulful siren, Ruby James, ladies and gentlemen. Hello and welcome to the podcast that celebrates those who are at the creative forefront in Music City. This is the Nashvant-Garde. Thank you for being here. We're so
Thanks
glad.
for having me.
Yeah, it's great. I'm so excited. It's an honor to have you here.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going great. Thank you. How about you?
Well, it's good. It's been a lot, but at least today I'm traveling and I'm on my way to Nashville, and today's a good day.
I understand today's a big day.
It is album release day. Been working on this little dream for 2.5 years.
Wow, man, that's quite a cake.
Well, my whole life, actually. I was supposed to make this record in 2020 with my producer, and then, so then life got lost for a while, and
Yeah.
here we are. Today's the big day. We finally got here. Music's up. The album just came out, and there was a glitch and a hiccup. There's been something the whole freaking way. Like, I stayed up till midnight, even though I wanted to get up early to drive today. And when it went live, I was like, "All right, awesome, it's live." And I'm listening, and here comes track 2, and I'm like tired. And it's halfway through the song Gasoline, and I realize, holy this is an instrumental track. There's no vocal. And nobody on my team was awake. And so at 8 o'clock this morning, I'm texting my label, and I'm like, happy release day, but the track 2 has no vocal. So, thank God Symphonic fixed that very quickly. By noon, we were up and running, and all is well.
That's so good. I'm so glad.
When I started coming in and out of Nashville, it was October of 23. I put out a solo artist album, and basically I just told her my soul was dying and I needed to put out another record. She was like, okay. We were sitting at Once Upon a Time in France, actually, off of Gallatin.
Yeah, I know it well.
Feels like a dreamy spot to decide that you're going to do this and go for it. So
That's awesome. Yeah, I knew to
Nashville's become the second home during this process.
That's great. I'm glad to know that. I can actually relate to that on so many levels because like first of all, you are presently on your way back to Nashville, but you're in Chicago and I lived there for 11 years and then I'm from Nashville originally and it took me that long to get back and then now that I'm back, I've embarked on all sorts of creative endeavors and there's a vibe here like it's undeniable like people especially musically but it's not just music and it's just a creative community and so it sounds like you found that and it sort of helped you get your compass, your creative compass.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm totally in love with East Nashville, and East Nashville has been so great to me. And I hear people kind of diss on Nashville sometimes. And, I spent a lot of time in Austin, Texas. So I feel like maybe sometimes the Austin communities can snub its nose a little bit at Nashville. But I mean, what's East Nashville is just badass. There's all kinds of music happening out of there. I mean, I'm not, my team is very dialed in with the great connections of Americana. My label is Mule Kick Records. They're on fire right now with the Palomino documentary, and I'm like on the fringe of Americana. I'm like friends of Americana, and all my friends are in this genre. But this album in particular is way more, I don't know, bold, ballsy, kind of dirty rock and roll. But I guess maybe because it's different, people are digging it. I don't know. East Nashville's working out all right for me. I love it. I want to move there, except
Oh,
the weather. The tornadoes are terrifying.
they are. That's right. Yeah, but yeah, so many more thoughts with this last statement. Let's start with your album, Call It Rock and Roll. It's actually what put me on to you. I saw, I think, a promotional reel or advertisement that you had for it, and it said that you're going to do an album release party at the Five Spot. I love the album art. I love that. I thought the album art was rad, and then the record itself is red. And I thought that was brilliant. It's like you've got all your marketing angles down with, bright red hair, bright red record, and then I can hear the music, so I was, like, captured visually, and then I turned on the sound, and I love what I heard. You're singing from your diaphragm, and, I love the musical scenes that are taking place here in town, but a lot of times they're sort of breathy and introspective, and you're just about kicking ass, and I found that really refreshing. And then on top of that, your album release party is at the Five Spot, which has it's become kind of a local legendary place to showcase music, and it's very unassuming from the outside, but it's sort of like a TARDIS. It unfolds, and you realize there's so much more space once you get inside, and it just keeps going. And there's a back patio and a side patio, and yeah, it's just like it's a lot of fun. And so it's a great venue. I think for a album debut, I've been to a few there, and
Absolutely. I
yeah,
love that.
yeah, same. So I'm excited to see that. That's a week from today, right? It's August 14th.
It is.
Yeah. And another thing that captured my interest was I believe DJ Amy Darling is also going to be joining you.
Yes. She is a bona fide badass.
He absolutely is. Yeah, I actually caught a few of her earliest acts as a DJ at Third Man Records, the Blue Room, owned by Jack White, and she had an amazing set. And I think she shared the limelight with Olivia Jean, it's another artist that's signed with Third Man Records, Jack White's wife. And so it was really cool. She's high energy, and she has really great social media presence too. And so it's like, well, if you've got DJ Amy Darling, something must be up with this. I can't wait. I can't wait to see it, hear it, and just like be present. So I'm
Yeah, I'm very excited. I guess the idea for it is that, you're always doing like the showcase bills with other bands, which is great. But when you're putting out an album that's like ferocious and fiery glam and having an album release event, like what's better than having like the coolest, baddest rock and roll DJ? And then, I've got that duet with Eddie Spaghetti. And so the ambassador of rock himself is going to be there. Like, I couldn't be any more thrilled. And then we're having Lorraine the Thrill and Cinder Lasser, sword swallowing and burlesque dancing. Like, let's just go big or go home, baby. Let's just let's call it rock and roll. Let's party down.
awesome. Yeah, I know Lorraine Luttrell. I'm looking forward to having her on an episode.
She's badass.
She's a badass. She's known all over the world. Yeah, she's pretty amazing. So you've certainly got connected in the 3 short years that you've been coming to Nashville. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
It certainly sounds like it. I was going to play a little game and throw out some locations and just tell me the first thing that comes to mind. Um, LA.
Born and raised.
All right. Austin.
Really cut my teeth as a solo artist. The Continental Club. South Congress, baby.
All right. Now, New Orleans.
Voodoo Queen, baby.
What? Okay.
That was a weird one. My grandfather had died, and I decided to take a gig on a whim with Twisted South. My friend started this magazine, and he's married to Jerry Lee Lewis's daughter, and they invited me to be the host of their reality TV show. So we hopped in a car and drove around Louisiana and Mississippi with Robert John, who's like famous photographer from the Guns N' Roses days. And so we were on this wild adventure, and it ended in New Orleans. And then an old friend of mine had a bar and restaurant there. And she was like, I was really kind of lost. Like my grandpa dying, all he ever wanted for me to be was famous. And when he died, all I wanted to do was not be on a stage. Every time I got up on one, I just didn't want to be there. Like my heart was so broken. And so I was kind of lost. And my friend was like, hey, why don't you stay here and manage my restaurant? And I was like, I don't know how to manage a restaurant. She said, I just need somebody that's not going to steal from me. And I was like, well, okay, I could do that. So New Orleans like sucked me in and spit me out just as fast. I mean, she was nuts. And so that was like when that gig was up, it was time to go. But those stories for that 6 month period are hilarious. It was like the closest I've ever walked between darkness and light. And I know I have angels because I didn't die coming home with like $5,000 of cash from the restaurant in my pocket at night. And that was wild.
Wow. Wow. I really picked a hot topic. I'm so glad.
Actually, there's a famous quarter character. He's an amazing artist named Amesy Adams, and he looks like what am I trying to say? I don't know, the Dark Lord of Santa Claus. Like he's got the big top hat and the big beard, and he's got this like homemade oh god, what is that cigar box guitar, like walking stick? And he is an incredible artist. And he would like and he's a lot older, like he was in his 70s back then, I think. And he would like pretty much walk me home through the quarter every night. And I think, I swear to God, we were meant to meet right away because I'm sure he's what kept me alive because they don't like kill you if you're a local. Like, but there's a look down there, man, that is completely different. And I didn't know what I was soaking up the sounds of horns, which I would then go on to put together Wifey and the Husband, which is this big horn band that I was doing like my last solo record was pretty much 2010. So I was in a horn band that was kind of a Midwest sensation. But when I was in New Orleans, I might have played at Chicky Wawa like once or twice, but I really wasn't playing music. I was just working my ass off, absorbing the sounds of horns and just sort of like partying and staying alive.
Well, a lot of that sounds really good, but we're certainly glad you're alive.
Ew.
Oh, that's awesome. And then from there, another location, Florida.
Florida, the early days. That was really where I like cut my teeth first and learned how to be a performer and learned how to write songs. The guy who did my album cover art that's so badass, that's my friend Sean Christian Dompier. He was Ruby James was a band first originally, and then I kept the name. So that was my band in my 20s in Orlando, and he was my writing partner and buddy. And we were, we thought we were hot. We were 23 years old and we were sponsored by Budweiser and played on the radio on the God, I can't remember the number, but it was a AAA station. And we were doing all the cool. We were playing huge festivals and Hard Rock Live and the House of Blues. And, we were kind of badass for 23 to 25 years old.
Yeah, I guess so. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I've had a beer sponsor before. What did that mean to you? Was it just like free beer for life, money? What did that sponsorship entail?
I never was a beer drinker, so for me, it wasn't that. It just felt badass. Like, all of a sudden we had this like promo. I mean, we had like nice posters, and there was a guy, he's still there doing all the cool stuff named Jim Faherty. He kind of championed us and believed in us. And so he got us on all the things. And, we opened for Fastball back then. Like, I know Miles now. I've written with Miles Zuniga, but I can remember when he came in with his cute little haircut and like we were there about to play the show and they were huge.
Yeah.
Like we played all those cool slots. We opened for War. That was amazing. Like for 5,000 people.
Wow.
It's great.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is really cool. And
I've
then
had I had a few different incarnations here. I've had many moments, and then just kind of fluttered off because of heartbreak or whatever. And then so here we are again, still trying. I'm gonna die trying.
yeah, maybe that's the next album. So that leads me to Door County.
Door County. So I would say, well, I was living in Door County already for Wifey and the Husband. And that was my big 10-piece horn band with my ex. And we were definitely like a little Midwest sensation. We opened for Morris Day and the Time.
Wow.
Jelly Bean Johnson used to come out and see us play when we'd play in Minnesota. And Steve Wertheimer from the Continental Club loved that band. So even though I'd moved up to Door County, he would have us come down and do like cool shows during ACL Fest or South by Southwest when he could put us on a few stages. And when the Mavericks got back together, they did a secret show at Boys Heart and Soul, and he had us open up during one of those big festivals. So Door County is a very great, I mean, it's a beautiful small town. I mean, it feels very like now domesticated home life and the respite. It's not easy to build like a solo artist career out of there, but there's nothing that compares to that small town feeling. I mean, when Wifey and the husband used to play, like 500 people would come out to see us in a
Wow.
little town.
Yeah,
It was awesome.
yeah, and for those listening who don't know, Door County is in Wisconsin, and it's a very scenic destination, very beautiful. So a lot of people, both in Wisconsin and Illinois and neighboring states, it's a vacation destination. It's
They
so
call it the Cape Cod of the Midwest.
there you go. Yeah, that's it. That's right. So yeah, so obviously it's gorgeous. So it's an enviable part of the country to be in. So that's pretty cool. And then I just would be curious, like because of your proximity and the fact that you're there now, when I say Chicago, do you have any experiences there that you care to share?
I have a fabulous boyfriend who has a husband, and that's where I stay, but it's in the suburbs, so I'm not really in the city. I love Chicago. When I was in the horn band, we used to play a residency at a place called Untitled downtown, and that place is insane. It's like they call it a speakeasy, but it's like 25,000 square feet underground. So
Yeah,
from the front of the street, it's like this tiny little flimsy door. And then you walk down this staircase into this like massive world that feels like the Great Gatsby felt through the most glamorous, crazy party with all these different rooms and things. So, I mean, I love to go into Chicago, but I'm usually just kind of stopping here for the night on my way to Nashville in the suburbs.
that's awesome. Yeah, I know that bar. A few of the doormen in my apartment building were bouncers there. So
Yeah,
uh,
that was bad. I mean, that was badass with the dancers, the burlesque dancers as the halftime or the break show. I mean, that place was so much fun. We had a lot of fun there.
yeah, that's great. That must be. I was wondering how I saw that act, and now I know I must have seen you. So yeah, you guys were sensational. Yeah, you were quite good.
Broke my foot on that stage in the middle of the last song one night. I came down and birds started chirping and I saw stars and I still kept shaking my uh whatever they're called maracas and I leaned into the horn player and I said don't touch me. and then and then we watched my foot swell up the whole night drive back to Door County, but I went to the checked in at the emergency room at 7 in the morning, went home and slept and did my show in Door County at the Bayside Tavern later that night with my boot up on a table.
That's insane. Oh man. Well, at least at that bar, I don't. They have particularly great bourbon. You can numb the pain with with some.
Yeah, they have great cocktails there.
Yeah. And then of course, last and definitely not least, Nashville. Like, what was the draw? How did you find us? What happened?
Well, my manager, Shiloh Morrow, so we worked together when I put out my Will and Charlie Sexton album in Austin, Texas, back in 2009, 10, 11-ish era. And Nashville is the day drive. So um it was like if you're gonna do music seriously, I feel like you gotta be in like some kind of a music city. And so a lot of people, friends from Los Angeles and Austin had migrated to Nashville, and Shyla is like my sister. So it was her that I went down to see in October of 2023 and was like, okay, like I'm going to die if I'm not playing music. I need to put out an album. Like I need to do one more album before I die. Like at least have something I'm proud of to leave behind. I have no presence that makes sense for all that I've done and all these songs that I have. I have a lot in me. And so she was like, all right, it's going to be a lot of work, but we can do this. And so today, like, all I keep saying is, we did it. we did it. And actually, it was her idea because we had 14 songs, and originally I was making a soul record. It was her idea, like in today's world where you're giving it all away for free, why don't we separate this album into two different albums? And I had gone on the Underground Garage cruise last year in 25 and um, saw the Super Suckers and well, actually, I'd already fallen in love with the Super Suckers in 2020. I had been on the the outlaw country boat with Rosie Flores. She's been
Yeah.
my mentor and very dear friend, like family, since back in the Austin days, 2008, 9. And so I went with her. I was singing backup, saw the Super Suckers for the first time, was like, holy like I don't have a lot of like really hardcore rock and roll history in me, but I have been told I have like a punk rock heart and soul just by my mouth and my attitude. And so when I see this music, even if I don't know what it is, like I just love rock and roll. I mean, I just discovered the Mooney Suzuki on this last boat.
Yeah.
And again, like it was like the Super Suckers, like holy like, I wasn't raised with this, but I freaking love it. It lights my soul on fire. And I was like, God, I have this album that I never put out called Voodoo Queen, and it's got all this dirty rock and roll on it. So, like, let's do that. Let's do that first, you know? And so that's what we decided to do. So I've got a whole nother album that is pretty close to done, that's more soul, um, not as punch you in the face, but it's like, hey, let's punch people in the face first, and then we'll caress them and sing them back to sleep.
I love it. That's awesome. Yeah, and that's brilliant. I mean, I listened to the album. Thank you for the ability to do so ahead of the album dropping today. And you know what? It still feels very complete with the 7 songs you've got on there. So I think that that decision was a perfect one, and I already can't wait for what's next.
Yeah,
Uh,
I love this ferocious, fiery glam, dirty blues. Eddie Spaghetti calls it expensive, dirty rock and roll. That's what it sounds like to him. But I love that tagline.
yeah,
And
it's
that's all my producer Kyle Crusham, because he is a mad genius, and he makes it sound like it's like $1 million record. I mean, it sounds like and Kyle to sing his praises. When we decided to go in this rock and roll direction and pull songs from my unreleased album that was Voodoo Queen before, we pulled Voodoo Queen, Gasoline, and Novocaine. And Kyle literally, like, we have a badass cast of characters that played on all these other songs. But because we needed to do this quickly, Kyle played every instrument except the drums on those 3 songs. And he did each one of those in one day. Like, he's nuts. Like, he's so
wow.
talented. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's like having Mozart at your disposal. That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm going to tell Kyle they called you Mozart.
Absolutely, please do. So tell us about Punk Rock Love Song with Eddie Spaghetti. I mean, that's an amazingly potent power ballad. It's
I
am
think so. I mean, like, mean it when I sing that song. I feel all the heartbreak of like whoever, like the world really in that song. I mean, clearly it's telling a story of 2 people, but I feel like in today's world, it's just so up. Like, who can't relate to something that just says pretty up over and over? Like, I start out believing in this, like, um, the Star is Born vibe, like, this loss and longing that you feel for this couple that maybe is like you want them to be together and they're not gonna be. Like, it has that feeling about it, which, I mean, who can't relate to that? We've all been there in some point in our life. Like, sometimes just doesn't work out. But then I forget that I kind of forget about it halfway through, and it's like I just feel the pain of the world in this song. And because like we sing it like we mean it, like you feel that, I mean, the response to that one has been overwhelming. Like, that one blew up my social media when I started doing that rollout. I was like, wow, okay, like, okay, I see you, Eddie Spaghetti. I see you, Super Suckers, history and fans. Like, this is potent. But yeah, maybe Mr. Spaghetti needed, maybe he needed me to waltz into his life to let him hear how that song was meant to be heard. I needed to flip the narrative for the woman's perspective all these years later to be like, okay, wait, hold on, I have a side to this story too.
Yeah,
Um, and I'm not just a throwaway, like, the lyric, it sounds like, he's talking about a girl that cheated on him. So it's like, yeah, well, hold on. Maybe I have a side of this story too. I don't know. It was my mother, because I just loved that song. I love it in all of its punk rock glory. And so when I came back from the 2020 boat, when we could go back into the world, I just wanted to start playing it with my local boys up in Door County just to get out that summer and start playing. And all 3 of my local boys are huge Super Suckers fans. Like, Super Suckers weren't on my radar till 2020, but they they like love them from way back. And so they're like, yeah, let's do that song. And I just rock out on my telly and sing the background vocals with my boy Zach that would sing it. And then my mom loved it. So she'd wander around and she was singing, I used to be pretty and now I'm just pretty up. And I was like, huh, there's something to that. Maybe I can sing this song. So I sat down at a piano and I thought, well, what happened? Let me try and make this really sad. Because I like to make things really sad and beautiful sometimes. And so then it was actually, so my manager Shyla used to work with those guys. And so she sent it to Eddie and Metal Marty. Then cut to the 2025 boat. I had put it up on TikTok like in 24. And Marty was the one that paid attention, not Eddie. And so when we got on the boat, Marty was like, hey, this is the girl that I keep telling you about with the song. And so it was cute one night at the after. There's always like a rock star party night. It's usually the second night of the boat ride, and they came upstairs after their big main stage performance. And Eddie was like, "Your version of our song is really great," and I was like, "You haven't even heard my version, and I know you haven't." And he was like, "Well, I feel like I have because everybody keeps telling me how great it is." And like Low Cut Connie was playing the Rockstar karaoke, and I was like, "Well, tonight's the night. We're gonna do it live together." And he was just kind of like, okay, who's this crazy chick? Like, and then he was like, well, what should I play? I'm like, well, you play bass, don't you? So we got up there with Eddie and Marty, and it's cute when you watch the video. It's like Eddie is like listening to this for the first time, like, wow, okay, this crazy bitch, and like it doesn't suck. Like, no, it doesn't suck. Thank you for letting me prettily up your song, man.
Well, the end result is downright anthemic. I mean, I really think it's going to be one for the ages. I think people are going to always want to hear that version and hear it sung that way. So kudos.
I love it.
Yeah.
Hey, we did something cool and badass and really made people feel something. And like I like to say, you never heard him sound so tender.
Yeah, that's true. And what was the studio chemistry like when that was going on? Like, because it was like a tender moment for the song that originally wasn't quite as tender. So what went on there?
You know, it was kind of like I just knew it was going to be magical. Like those guys have a lot of mojo. Eddie is magical as I'm magical. Like I just trusted that it was going to be fine. I mean, like the last night I saw him on the boat, I was like, I think we're going to record that song. And he was like, yeah. I'm like, do you produce? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, well, meet you in Austin. And then my manager set it up. And really at that point, I had started writing a bridge and he let me like kind of just went with it. And it was like that really kind of also adds this like emotional peak of the song, that and the guitar solo. I always thought Metal Marty would play on it, but my producer Kyle, the Magic Man, was there and he played that solo, and it was kind of like, well, I mean, when it's not broke, you don't fix it. It's great. And so now what? Okay, well, it was supposed to be a Super Suckers collab, and Chris and Eddie were there, but this other thing happened and he liked my bridge. We duetted it. It was perfect. I was kind of like at first like, I don't know if this is the right bridge. Like I wish I had some cool girl lyrics to match the cool factor of this song, but it really took it somewhere else. And it really just unfolded in the studio. We didn't have it laid out and planned out in advance. I mean, we just kind of did it in real time. The whole thing just unfolded like that. And it was also done in a day. So
Wow, that's amazing. It really, I would have not have guessed that from having listened to the track.
yeah.
It sounds like you contemplated it for a while and this was the solution. So that's really interesting that it came together so quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sometimes things just happen that way.
that's true. That's true. And similarly, you've got a spellbinding cover of Laverne Baker's mid-50s classic Bumblebee that features the legendary Rosie Flores on guitar.
Yes.
That's amazing. I mean, what an accomplishment. I remember covering Rosie Flores, like, way back in the day, and
Really?
yeah.
What
Yeah,
were you playing?
I was, well, when I say cover, I mean from a reporting standpoint. I was, acting managing editor of Music City News magazine, and we actually, at my encouragement and insistence, included an Americana slash alt country section of Music City News because of what was going on in Austin. I was like, we're excluding a whole aspect of the genre. that's happening right now. And I was like, and of course, we're all cognizant of the Outlaws and then later the Highwaymen. And it was, it was basically an anti Nashville movement that Nashville missed out on because they made up their minds that you can only make music a certain way, a formula that works for country music radio. And
Right.
and then, come to find out, you can just make your music and, make it meaningful and good, and people will get it and latch onto it. And so I was like, let's include this. And what happened was, as a result, Billy Block would come out from California. Once he saw that we were covering it regularly, he actually edited the column in addition to doing his whole show review and everything. And Rosie Flores was often there, right there with him, playing all the legendary spots here in Nashville, at least the ones that are still standing, like Exit In, like, and it's amazing. So anyway, just to know that she's still producing music and inspiring others, and she mentored you, correct? Like, tell us about that.
Oh, Rosie is a freaking badass, man. She's one of the most underrated guitar players of all time. But 75 years old, she's having this like renaissance. She's about to go out on tour with Robert Plant for the third time. He just keeps taking her out because I just love that about him. Obviously he gets it and is like, hello, hello, everybody. Like, we're just going to keep doing this because you're not paying enough attention or something. I don't know. I mean, those of us that know, we know. But yeah, Rosie, and especially as a guitar player, it amazes me. Like, they know her as a legend and a pioneer and all these things, but they don't know how ferocious of a guitar player she's actually. So we featured her because, like, a cartoon on Bumblebee, but she is playing the blues licks on Honey Dripper in the verses, and she's playing an electric toothbrush that she decided to bring in because of the buzz buzz sound. She thought she'd play it on Bumblebee, but it ended up being the intro to Honey Dripper. And then she's playing the ripping freaking solo in Boogie Downtown, which is the lead single that came out today with my album. So that is her monster solo on Boogie Downtown. And it's awesome when she's so tiny. Like, she's like, well, she's little, but she's loud, but she's little. I call her my naughty little 16-year-old teenage sister, and she's this tiny little thing with this monster big personality, monster tone. And when she gets with my producer Kyle, who's like this biggest gentle giant that you've ever seen, they're like Mutt and Jeff together. It's hilarious. And he just sets her up and he like just dials in this badass Billy Gibbons tone and just lets her fly. And it's so awesome. And I just geek out like a giddy little schoolgirl when I watch Rosie play guitar. I'm so sad she can't be at my album release show, but it would just be impossible. She plays a gig in LA the night before, and then she has to be in Austin the day after. For a show. So that's like the one heartbreak, that she's not going to be there. But what can you do? She's in demand. But yeah, her big frustration with me, of course, was that she wanted to teach me how to play guitar, but I have a problem. I don't have much patience for things that I'm not like good at right away. So I just didn't have like the stick with it enough to hash it out and learn the licks. But we're really cute on stage together. We have a thing, man. We just light up. We light each other up. It's so cute. I'll have to send you a clip. There's clips on my Instagram page, but from my show in April at the Five Spot, we did that the day before they debuted the Palomino documentary at the Country Music Hall of Fame. So Rosie was there, and that was like the best show of my life. It was so fun.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, send us anything like that. That's awesome. That's great. And so your voice has been described as the ghost of soul divas smoking and playing poker. When you take that and apply it to rock and roll, like what's the challenge to get that uninhibited bravado outlaw rock and roll vibe with also the smoky soul diva grit?
I mean, that's just what I was born with.
Good, man. I love it.
That's
That's
just what comes out of here. I mean, I wish I had this range, but I don't. I just do what I do. But I mean, I guess Stevie Nicks did that too, and it's her. So it's not the worst thing in the world. It's got a lot of cool factor and personality, I guess. I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's right. It does, I have to say. Um, I just wanna talk about some of the, other tracks on your album. We talked about Voodoo Queen, and you briefly mentioned Novocaine and Gasoline. Can you tell me about those?
Those 2 I wrote with my producer, Kyle Crusham. We have a very cool and unique way to write together because he's so fast on the with his engineering skills. So, he's really fun to write songs with because he just, like, makes up cool riffs and, it'll start with, like, a lick or a little bit of a track or a loop or something that, he'll save and be like, "Here, what do you think about this?" Um, and I don't know, we just sort of freestyle in the studio. That's the only person I've ever written with like that, really. And it's just fun. It's cool because he always is trying to like just do cool stuff. So, Novocaine and Gasoline are ferocious.
Yeah, they really are. They're great.
And he's fun. He's like, we have fun together when we write because he's always, it was him that like, he's like somebody that he'll be like today I was talking to him and I just will like go off on a tangent and start like freestyling. He's like, man, I wish I would have just recorded that. he's like, he's like, you don't even hear the things that you say. And the title of the album, because he's like, what are you gonna call this album? I'm like, well, I love Honey Dripper, but I don't really think I want to call the album Honey Dripper. And I don't really want to call it Voodoo Queen because that's what we were going to call it back in 2011. And that's like one part of me, but I don't just feel like I'm all encompassing Voodoo Queen. Like that's one part of my story. But, I said, what are we going to call it? I mean, I don't even know how I said it. Like it's rock and roll. It's like, call it rock and roll. And he goes, did you hear what you just said? Call it rock and roll. And I was like, what are you talking about? It is rock and roll. He goes, no, that's your album title. You just said, call it rock and roll. He's like, that's a awesome album title. And I was like, oh, you're right. And it would look really good on a t-shirt.
Yeah,
Call it rock and roll, baby. So
right.
thank God somebody listens when I talk because a lot of people try not to. They try to tune me out because I just go on and on and on.
Well, I think it's perfect quality for a podcast, so we're happy to have you.
I could podcast all day.
Yeah, that's great. So tell us about the song "Honey Dripper." You mentioned a little bit having Rosie Flores play guitar on it. How did you come about creating that song?
Honey Dripper is a unique writing experience. So there's an event that got me to Door County, Wisconsin in the first place. It was called Steelbridge Song Fest. It's actually still going on. And so at Steelbridge, you hole up at this like retro 50s motel called the Holiday Music Motel. And back in the day, before COVID, we would like take over the motel and all these writers would stay there for a whole week. And, it was like summer camp and you'd always spin a bottle after dinner and you'd pair up into groups of three. And so from there, Steelbridge ended up becoming 3 events. So it was like Steelbridge was the hub event in June. And then they would do a Love on Holiday, which was kind of where I would shine because I like to write love songs, and then a spooky one during Halloween. And so Honey Dripper was written during Love on Holiday. So in addition to the group of 3 of us, Kate Vargas and Bruce Bukovich, we would spin a piece of art and we spun this like weird artwork that was really cool and it looked like dripping honey. And because I didn't know that Robert Plant had a band called the Honey Drippers, I thought I made up this word about women that are just like dripping their honey all over everybody. And so I was like, ooh, that looks like dripping honey. And I have this word called Honey Dripper. Like, what if we write a song about that? And Kate Vargas, I don't know if you're aware of her, but she's like one of the greatest songwriters. I'm not really that prolific. I don't just flow. I can flow from my mouth sitting here talking to you. And if somebody takes notes, I probably say a lot of good that can go into a song. But I'm not one of these people that just sits down and like can write a whole album, a concept album in a month or something. Like most of my songs, not all of them, but a lot of the really cool performance ones certainly have co-writers. And And so Kate is one of my favorite people to write with, and she just started freestyling that whole first verse, it's a mouthful. And then I kind of wrote the second verse, and then I don't know, we just went from there. And Bruce is a really talented multi-instrumentalist and engineer producer. So, it's fun. You just like I learned how to collaborate since 2007 by going to these events, and as a result, the songs would were a lot better. For me, I'm not a precious songwriter. I don't need to, for people that write a million words, good for them. And they, can be super proud. And I'm sure I would be too if I wrote every word to every one of my songs. But since I'm not this way, I don't feel attached or in need of that. I just want to have, like, I'm a show pony and I like to perform. And so I want to have like the best songs to get up and shake my ass and make people, bump and grind with me. And I like the sad ones too. I love them, but I really like those show pieces.
That's awesome. That makes me really excited about your upcoming show. I can't wait to see it.
That's
So,
the only thing that's sad about my upcoming show is it's only 7 songs. So, the album is only 7 songs. I did add an 8th one that will be a surprise, but,
uh,
it's an original that I did write by myself, and, we just closed out this Mile of Music festival with it every night, and it has a very kind of spiritual, like, arena filling vibe when it sparkles and shines in all of its glory. It's mid-tempo, but I wrote it during a really hard time in my life when I was pretty sick back in 2010, and I've been going through a lot of really scary health stuff right now, and I couldn't feel this song, that we're gonna add more. I think it's gonna be my next, like, I think I'm gonna release it as a single finally, after this album is kind of a bridge to the next album.
I'm excited to hear it, and I'm sure our listeners and viewers will be excited.
It's called Waiting on the Stars, and I feel
Oh,
like I'm a very cosmic Pisces moon child that wooey and witchy and out there in the cosmos, and so Waiting on the Stars feels really poignant to where I'm at right now, so, yeah, hopefully you like it.
I definitely will. Yeah. So it really is kind of a mystical vibe.
It kind of really is, yeah,
Well,
but it
that's
also rocks with the live band, so
as it should.
and of course, I've been very fortunate to play with, Nashville has definitely been like Candyland of incredibly talented people. So as much as I've like made this like very I'm a big feeling person. I'm over the top. I'm super extra. So when I let out all my feelings and emotions, it's like I'm like the chick that tags like 75 people to thank you and over the top love bomb you, but I've been very fortunate to play with the most incredible people in Nashville. I don't know, well, you're there, so my first band for the first year was like Tobin, Dale, and Meg Coleman and Billy Mercer, and George Russell. And then when I moved in out of the soul into the more rock and roll, we added in Matt Slahetka and Jeff Howell and Johnny Hawthorne. And then and then there have been like subs, like every time that like Matt Slahetka was amazing at bringing in like subs. And so I've gotten to play with this Johnson Jay one time who was just incredible. And Doran Danoff and Corey Winburn. I don't know. It's just been like every time, and this guy John Radford is playing. He's hilarious. I haven't seen him or met him yet, but just some of Nashville's finest. There's so many great players down there.
Yeah, it's so true. And there's so many opportunities for people just passing through who are so well known elsewhere that come in special just to record here too. So it's just a veritable who's who of the best and the brightest in the industry.
For
Uh,
sure.
yeah, well, it sounds like you're super plugged in. Several of those names perked my ears up. So that's exciting. And tell us a little bit about Boogie Downtown.
Boogie Downtown was written with the mightiest of all, Mr. James Hall. He had a band called the Pleasure Club. Did you know that band?
I didn't know it, but that doesn't mean anything.
They're like a cult classic band. I didn't know his band either, but it's one of those things where if you know, then like total rock star. James is a rock star, and he is one of the greatest songwriters ever. And And, I don't know, just one day I was like, "I'm ready for my James Hall experience." So he came over to my house and just started banging on my piano, and he's one of those that just flies, so he just, like, started flying, and, he'll just, like, write a whole song in one long run-on sentence. So, out came Boogie Downtown, and there we were rocking along, and we went and played it, like, maybe that night at an open mic night, and it was just, like, him on guitar, and we didn't know what we were doing, you know? Um, and it's funny because you could hear it, like, people in the room were like, "What the hell is this?" You know, with just an acoustic, but then it was funny because, like, Kyle, my producer, he's quite I don't wanna say he's precious, but, you know, he's, like, perfect with his hearing and his ears, like, he's Paul Simon's, like, main guy and, like, works with Paul Simon's wife, Edie Brickell, and this doesn't sound like any of that, and so, he did not get, like, you know, this is, like, legendary songwriting, right? And so I come in with Honey Dripper and Boogie Downtown, and he was complimenting me today because he was like, don't discredit yourself because like he didn't get those songs. He's like, these songs need something else. And I was like, listen, these songs are hits. Like, just go, like, make them as best as we can make them. Like, these are ferocious songs and we fight, you know, we're like brother and sister. And I'm like, I wouldn't back down. I was like, no, these are not throwaway tunes. Not one bit. Like, I can hear the grandness in them, you know? Sometimes you can hear something as an artist that nobody else can hear, but you hear it in your head and you're, like, not gonna stop until you hear it come to life that way. So I don't have the words and I don't have the skills to, like, do that, like, play the parts and record it and all that stuff, but I just, like, you know, you gotta have those friends and connections that have those skills to be like, "Nope, like, come on, Kyle," and the great thing about him is that he doesn't have an ego because people with ego get so offended and take everything so personally, so when I would just argue with him, he would just be like, "Alright, well, let me see what I can do then." You know, back to the drawing board, "Okay, she says this is a hit. I don't know, I don't hear it, but let's try." So and then really they ended up being like so ferocious. So it's great.
I've got to ask. It sounds like, and maybe this is true, and maybe this is the question. So let me rephrase this. So, in every city that you've been in, and try to accomplish something musically, um, have you always found it easy to have partners to create an album or a song and match your energy? Because all of the stories that you've told thus far, it's like everybody is just full on all the time. Uh, and they match your energy, and then you get this output. And they also don't have an end in sight when they start, but you seem to finish every project that you start, which I mean, that's a challenge unto itself for a lot of people, but you're able to do it. The results of this album, according to what you just told us, is, sounds like it was in a matter of days. So, anyway, what are your thoughts about all of that?
I mean, there were a lot of trips back and forth to Austin. You know, there was a lot of steps involved, but each trip, I mean, I guess I just wanted to milk those trips too, because my best friend and my fairy godchildren are there. So, and I love Austin. You know,
Yeah.
if that like, I'm actually glad that Austin wasn't the day drive away because if it was, I would probably be living in Austin again. But because it wasn't, it was like Nashville's where I can get to, but I'm going to record in Austin because that's where my connections are. You know, my girl Harmony Kelly is the bass player on there and she tours with Kenny Chesney, but she lives in Austin. And so like I knew I was making that album with Kyle and it was going to be in Austin. But I don't know. I don't know what the question was. I have a way about me. I know I do. I have a way that just rides you, but it's like because I'm a total heart person and it's like when I feel something in my bones, I won't stop. Like I won't back down. My mom always says like watch her go, there she goes. She burns like fire. And I mean, this has been a very challenging time because I told you I have Lyme disease and right now I feel good, but from April to mid-June, I didn't. Last summer, I was a mess and I was going through these treatments and it comes and goes. But like Kyle says, you know, your body's literally trying to kill you and you're like, not today. Like, nope, not today. Like, I'm going to do this. Like, if I make a commitment to somebody or to myself, like, I will die trying to see that through. Like, I do not like to be let down and I don't like to let people down. And, at this point in my life, I was sure as hell not going to let myself down. So, there was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that went into getting this out today. It has not been easy. And I try to live like my joke is that I'm the bumblebee. Like the bumblebee is too fat to fly by design, but it flies anyways because no one ever told it that it couldn't. And I feel very much like the bumblebee. And so, like I do have friends joke, like I don't even fully get it, but I know I have this thing, right? That it's like it's not manipulative. I'm not just trying to get what I want from people. I'm trying to get what I want that I think is like the best of them and with a purpose, like if I believe wholeheartedly that this is like something that is meant to be, then I am going to die trying to convince you and to get myself to, see it through as well. Like that's one of my superpowers, I think, like I'm not the best songwriter. I'm not the most prolific one, but my strengths are that, I know how to connect and make people feel deeply from the heart. And because I do, like, I mean it.
Yeah, you've convinced me, in just the time that we've been talking, and, I'm marveling at how you do it, but, yeah, you answered the question, that's exactly.
Don't know how I do it. I just kind of know that I do. It's like I say to people like, that thing I do? Like I just do. I don't know what that is. I don't know what I mean by that, but like they also kind of know. Like if you've been rubied, you've been rubied, but it's not like a trivial thing. Like,
Yeah,
it's like for some reason you somehow know it's like I don't know how this girl is getting me to do this, but she means it and I know we're meant to do it. So let's do it.
heck yeah, that's awesome. I love
Not trying to pull wool over anyone's eyes. I know it's a thing. I just don't know. I don't know. I'm pretty much an open book. I'm a person that puts all their cards out on the table, whether you like those cards or not. That's up to you.
it.
These are my cards.
Well, I like the way you play them.
Thank you.
Got a mean hand. Um, well, is there anything that you would like to tell us that we didn't think to ask you?
It's the best way to share podcasts, by the way. Like it's like you can like say it's out and put a link, but in
Yeah,
today's world, like who's paying attention to anything? There's so much noise, and I make a lot of noise just as it is. Like,
yeah,
go save this, stream this. Like, it's like, how is anybody paying any attention?
yeah. Well, that's a good question. I found that, little things like we did today where we talk about different cities, that'll generate interest. And of course, we'll send you a collab on that. And you just sort of stair step. And so, the other thing is, and it's kind of like what you did with your album, it's very similar wisdom and science. So, you've got Eddie Spaghetti on a, significant single, and then you've got Rosie Flores on another, and then she's playing on two more tracks. So that association with known greatness and their own individual followings will also pay it forward when sharing too. And we'll be sure to tag and mention and talk about each of them and their collaboration with you in relationship to you. And so similarly, it'll bode well for sharing the podcast. And then as far as like which platform is more successful or anything, I mean, that's debatable. I mean, obviously you're aware of Spotify and everything and the power that it yields. We call podcasts because of Apple. That presence is also undeniable. The pod and podcast is referring to the iPod, which is no longer relevant, but making a resurgence. So who knows? Yeah, I think I looked at one and they went back up to like $350 now for a used one from 10
Is
years ago.
that one of those things that used to be like the modern day Walkman or something?
Yes, yes.
I used to have one of those. What is it called again? An iPod?
Called an iPod. Yeah. Yeah, and they're making a comeback because people
Really?
yeah, because people want a tangibility. They want to de-screen and touch things, and own them. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, so I mean, I think that's why the vinyl is so crucial, is
I can't wait for my ruby red vinyl. I hope it's here
oh,
by the album release show.
me too, me too. I've already got ordered mine and I can't wait. It's going to be exciting.
Thank you for your purchase. Hopefully, I can give it to you in person.
I would love that. I would love that. That would be excellent. And just since we're talking about sharing content and everything, where can we hear your music, see your videos, and buy your merch?
Well, Instagram is my main driver. I think that is the closest thing to the old MySpace days. I loved MySpace because I'm a visual person. I like pretty things and I like colors. And so naturally that's a lot more fun for me than Facebook. And, so I work hard on my social media on Instagram. I've gotten pretty bad. I tried really hard with TikTok. So I mean I'm on all the places, but I don't have it in me to learn how to properly TikTok. That's just it's a lot of work to do it, just all the things. So I'm pretty much posting on Instagram and pushing through to Facebook, which then Facebook doesn't get as much traction, but I don't feel like doing this in a million different ways. And then rubyjamesmusic.com, that's my website. That's where my store is up. And then of course, sadly, I'm always rooting for people that are banning Spotify. Like my friend Brett Newski just put a whole album out and did not put it up there. But he's got a lot more followers than me and way further along, so he can do that. I need the streams and all the things. It's so pathetic, begging people to go take your music. I'm just trying to give it to you for free. Just take it. But it's so hard to even get them to go there?
Yeah.
I know it's good. Just go take it for free. That's all I'm asking you to do. People don't realize that, it's you have to ask for so many things. If you follow, save, add it to playlist, share it. I mean, this is how the best way you can help independent artists.
Yeah, that's true. It all matters. It compounds. I try to preach that gospel to others. It's like, you don't realize how wide your circle is. And if you choose to believe in something and stand behind it and share it, that affects change for the better, ideally. And yeah, and then also I wanted to mention something. You mentioned MySpace. I don't know if you've seen this yet, but they're threatening to bring it back.
Right, I'm all for it. I was like a chart topper over there. I had 100,000 followers. I loved MySpace. I used to make $100 a day on MySpace. That's when I was touring all the time. That was a
Yeah.
long time ago.
Yeah, I've got MySpace memories too. I used to run a really big MySpace page and talk to all kinds of celebrities through it. It was glorious. I mean, all the conversations you have and the things you get invited to if they're I just happen to be in your
It was
town.
awesome. My glory days for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah. It's great. Well, maybe they'll come
Bring
back.
back MySpace.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see what that's about. I'll take it. That's
Love it.
great. Well, Ruby James, we are so grateful to have you here on the Nashvant-Garde podcast, and we can't wait to have you here in Nashville. Wish you a safe journey here from Chicago, and look forward to seeing your album release show August 14th. That's Friday at the Five Spot in Nashville, Tennessee. Be there or be square.
Literally. Don't be a square. Be there.
That's right. That's right. But we thank you so much for being a guest today.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'll see you next Friday in person.
I'll see you Friday. It sounds great.
Thank you, Brennan.
Thank you.